Help support the show by joining the Patreon or becoming a YouTube member. Also, hit that like button and subscribe if you want more Browns-focused content.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to Hot Takes, the show where I take your hot takes and react to them. So let's jump into it. First set of hot takes are from my quarterback position review, so let's go through some of them. R-Mac with a super chat said, hey, Q, I think that Pickett and Dillon are getting first-team reps because they have to make the team. Flacco is a QB1 starter. Sanders is the QB2 backup, so Pickett and Dillon are competing for QB3. All right, well, I appreciate the super chat. I do question the logic, though, in this question. So you're telling me that the Browns are giving their first team reps to the guys who they think might make the team the least? I don't know if that feels right to me. I think Dillon and Kenny Pickett are getting the first team reps because Joe Flacco's 41 years old and he's not going to practice that much. And he has infinite experience in Kevin Stefanski's system. So he doesn't really need to be out there, right? This is a guy who came off the street in the middle of the year after being basically retired for half a season and picked up the offense in like 2 weeks. He does not need a ton of reps in training camp. The Browns are fully aware of this. There's no reason to use a ton of Joe Flacco in camp. So that's why Joe's not out there. Now, is Joe the de facto QB1 starter? I would say if nobody else wins the job, then Joe Flacco will start. But if somebody does win the job, then Joe Flacco will not. I think Joe Flacco is Joe de facto at this point. Shout out to the comment section for coming up with that. But anyways, back to your question, right? The reason Kenny Pickett and Dillon Gabriel are getting first team reps are because Kenny Pickett is in the competition to start week 1. And Dillon Gabriel is somebody that they're curious about, right? Like, I don't think it's a big mystery. I don't think Shedeur Sanders is guaranteed to be QB2 backup. I'll be honest with you right there. I think that's going to be Dillon Gabriel no matter what, right? I think either Kenny Pickett or Joe Flacco are going to make this team. And then Dillon Gabriel will be the backup because they feel comfortable about Dillon's college experience. They have cited that multiple times that they love Dillon's college experience. He has 5 years of FBS football experience, right? Shedeur Sanders does not have 5 years of FBS football experience. He has not played the amount of FBS snaps that Dillon Gabriel has had. Dillon Gabriel has played more football, and he's played that football at a higher level with multiple big name offensive coordinators, right, in college football, whereas Shedeur Sanders has not done those things. Now, does that mean that Dillon's experience should be more valuable off rip than Shedeur's? I think that's a question up for debate because I'm not really a big believer in college experience really mattering as much as some people do. But what I feel about this is irrelevant. I'm just trying to tell you what the Browns are signaling to us that they care about. And what the Browns are signaling to us that they care about is they care about Dillon's college experience, which gives him the benefit of the doubt between the two rookie quarterbacks. It's why they drafted Dillon Gabriel in the 3rd round instead of Shedeur Sanders. And that means that Dillon's going to get the first crack at starting or getting a chance to start between those two. It makes sense to me. You cannot like it. You cannot like that they're going to give Dillon. But the fact is they drafted Dillon in the 3rd round. They drafted Shedeur in the 5th. 4th round? Was it the 4th? It was the 4th round. They drafted Shedeur in the 4th round or 5th round, wherever they drafted him. They drafted Dillon before him. He's going to get the first crack at being able to start because they feel like this guy's going to be able to start more or sooner than Shedeur is. That's just what everything that they've said tells you, right? That's why him and Kenny are getting the first team reps because they want to get a good look at Kenny with the first team and they want to get a good look at Dillon with the first team. And they want to decide between the two of them, hey, which one do we feel better about? Right? Do we feel good about Dillon being able to be a backup because we think it's going to come up during the season? Do we feel good about Kenny? Now, Shedeur is more of a developmental project for the Cleveland Browns. Like, we'll see if he plays this year. Honestly, if we go by regular Cleveland Brown logic, he's probably going to play this year, right? It's pretty probable. It would be a surprise to me if he didn't play this year. But between Kenny and Dylan, that's what they're going for to see who's going to play, right? It's going to be either Kenny or Joe Flacco's going to start, and then Dylan's eventually going to play. So that to me is why it's going like that. I don't think that there is like a secret Shedeur Sanders is always quarterback number 2 right now. I think Shedeur is going to be quarterback 3 for the bulk of the year. And we'll see what happens there. Now, obviously, Shedeur has agency in this situation, the same as Dylan Gabriel, the same as Kenny Pickett, right? Kenny Pickett can play his way to being the starter. Dylan Gabriel can play his way to being the starter. And Shedeur Sanders can definitely play his way to being the starter eventually. But if you're asking me what I think the Browns want, and the Browns are pretty transparent about this, at the beginning of the year, it's either going to be Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett, with the outside chance of Dylan Gabriel. They're making that very clear. They're going to develop Shedeur, and they're probably not going to throw him out there at the beginning of the season unless they have to. So that's where I think I am. And look, I wouldn't be surprised if like, let's say there were injuries and it looked like Shedeur was going to have to start, that the Browns went and like picked up somebody and started them if it was at the beginning of the season. I think they view Shedeur as a developmental quarterback. They're going to develop him. They're going to see what they can get out of him. They're going to mark his progress by what he does in practice, right? But I don't think they view him as somebody they're going to play right away. Again, Shedeur has agency over that. He can play to a level to where he can play himself out of that developmental tag. But right now, it is clear that he has the developmental tag by the organization, which means, right now, if things go as planned, probably not going to play at the beginning of the year. But Shedeur has a chance to change that. We'll see what happens. 97 Buckeye guy with another take about the quarterback room. Joe Flacco should not start a game unless the team knows at the beginning that Kenny Pickett isn't going to be here next season. If there's a chance that Kenny Pickett's going to stay, he should be the starter day one to see how he does going forward from game 7. Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur should not get the same starts unless the team knows that either of these will start for the team next season. We know for certain that Joe Flacco does not have a future with the Browns. Should he break he should be a break glass in case of emergency option. The problem I have with this whole statement is like it assumes that the Browns are going to be in a position to know anything, right? Or to have a good idea on anything by the time the season starts. The truth is, you're going to have no clue whether you're going to be able to bring back Kenny Pickett or not next season, right? Like whether that's realistic or not. Kenny Pickett can be absolute cheeks and you don't want him to be back. Kenny Pickett can be amazing and then you can't bring him back. Kenny Pickett can be mid and then you can bring him back, right? Like they have no clue what the situation is going to be with Kenny. They cannot make a decision based on that at all because they have no idea, right? The same thing is like, with Dylan and Shedeur, they should get some starts until the team knows that neither of these guys are going to start for the team next season. The odds are is that you can play Dylan Gabriel, you can play Shedeur Sanders, and you're not going to know if these guys are worth giving more of a chance to. Like, that is my number one problem with how people have talked about these young quarterbacks. It's like, let's let them play so we know. You're not going to know. Okay? Shedeur Sanders can play 12 games this year. And you might not know what he is at the end of it. Keep in mind, Baker Mayfield took 4 years of debates for us to know one way or the other how the Browns felt about him. The idea that you're just going to know about a rookie quarterback by the time he plays a couple of games, it's asinine. It's wild. Look at Jalen Hurts' first few starts. Like, it wasn't like, oh my God, we know about this guy. It was like, let's see what happens, right? Odds are you're not going to know if Dylan Gabriel is going to be a good starter by the end of the year. Odds are you're not going to know what to do with Shedeur, right? Like, there's the chance that Shedeur is so bad that you don't think it's anything redeemable. There's a chance that Dylan Gabriel is so bad that you don't think anything's redeemable. There's a chance that Dylan Gabriel is so amazing that you know he's great. Or the same thing could be true with Shedeur Sanders, right? But more often than not, where you end up with young quarterbacks is I don't really know what they are. Will Levis took him like 3-4 years to be like, nah, he's not good actually, right? Multiple young quarterbacks. What's this guy name? Will Greer had like that year where he led the league in touchdowns and interceptions. And it's like, you didn't really know, right? What's up with him after that season? Odds are you're going to get an inconclusive sample from these rookie quarterbacks because they're rookie quarterbacks. Like the idea that you're going to write the book on a quarterback after a few games in his rookie year is crazy. Okay. And that's kind of where I have the issue. Like, yeah, it would be nice if we could know by the end of the year what Dylan and Shador are. It would be nice if we knew, it had a good idea whether you could bring Kenny Pickett back next season based on his performance on this year. But the thing that makes all of this stuff difficult is that you're not going to know what these guys are going to be, what kind of situations these guys are going to be in, and what kind of potential do these guys have with your franchise going forward. That is what makes the job difficult, right? If you just knew, it wouldn't be hard. Now, do I think that Joe Flacco should be the break glass in case of emergency option? I think he should be the bar for what you want at your starting quarterback. Like, if you think Kenny Pickett is better than Joe Flacco, start him. But if you don't think Kenny Pickett is better than Joe Flacco, then why are you playing Kenny Pickett? Just play Joe Flacco, right? Basically, until one of these quarterbacks eclipses Joe Flacco in the mind of the coaching staff, whether that be because Joe Flacco lowers the bar himself or because one of these quarterbacks jumps the bar of Joe Flacco, that quarterback should not start. Like, if you're not better than 41-year-old Joe Flacco, you should not start. Joe Flacco should start. That's kind of how I feel about it. And the truth is, it's very likely we get to September and we're guessing whether that's going to be the case or not. Because quarterback play is very hard to judge, let alone judge in like 2 months. You know what I mean? Ali says, QB room here is an A for me. Wow, okay. That's interesting. Ali says the media constantly factors in Watson into the equation, counting 5 viable quarterbacks instead of technically only 4. I agree. I don't think that Watson really factors in this year or even next year, but not being pragmatic about the fact that dude is done with the organization. They've moved on as a big swing and a miss. 2, why not have a Hunger Games QB competition, cut trade, or send the practice squad anyone who doesn't work out? I mean, there's a lot of reasons to not do that. There's a lot. There's a lot of reasons. Like, one, I kind of brought this up in the comment before. You're not going to know about these quarterbacks immediately. Like, these aren't, I feel like we talk about quarterbacks like booster packs and training card games. Like, y'all ever play Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon? And like, people are like, oh, we got a new quarterback. Let's open up the pack. Let's see what we got. And then after you open up the pack, you know what you have, if that pack was great or not. And I think that's how people view quarterback, is like, oh, let's just open the pack, throw him out there, see what we got. Is he great or not? And then just throw it out after that. The truth is that that's not how it's going to work, right? Dylan Gabriel could suck his first 3 games and then become a starting quarterback later on in his career. Same's true with Shador. Shador could look terrible his rookie year, and in year 2 looks pretty good, right? Like, that happens in the NFL all the time. Not specifically at the quarterback position, but it has happened a lot at the quarterback position, but also at other positions. Like, the idea that like a bad rookie season, however long it is, disqualifies you from being able to be good at football ever is kind of a bad idea. And it's interesting, right? Because like, the same people who will be like, hey man, we need to just throw them out there, we're going to know by the end of the year what we have in these guys. The same people are like, man, we should have waited on Baker Mayfield, right? And I don't know if Baker turns into what he has been able to turn into, right? The consistency that he put together in Tampa Bay these last 2 years, I don't know if he does that in Cleveland. But truth is that if you're going to bet on waiting 6 years for Baker Mayfield to develop, then you can't just tell me, oh, we're going to know about a quarterback after 6 months. Well, let me get to the third part. Third, it's obvious that the Browns will draft a quarterback no matter who balls out in college this year in 2026. Draft after cutting Watson. Spring looks like good insurance. I just don't see how that can make this room an A though. Like, yeah, I get liking what the Browns are doing with the room because they're moving on from Watson. They're taking some chances at the quarterback position. And they got the picks to be able to get the quarterback that they want next year. I get liking the strategy of the Browns quarterback room. I just don't get how that changes the fact that the personnel in the room is the personnel in the room. And it's C- personnel, right? Like, let's be real about it. It's not A personnel. Like, A personnel, you got Joe Burrow, right? You know, or Lamar Jackson. That's an A quarterback room. You know, you can like the strategy. I don't think that changes the grade on the room. This hot take is from Rail, who says a smart person learns from their mistake. A smarter person learns from their mistakes of others. Being around DW, Shador will have a clear understanding of what not to do. Okay, so this is from my Shador Sanders is being taken under the wing of Deshaun Watson video. Here's the problem I have with this is what exactly do we think Deshaun Watson is like mentoring Shador about? Because I don't think it's about off the field stuff. Like, I think this is about purely football. And like, has Deshaun made some mistakes on the football field? Yes. Has Deshaun ever showed a willingness to admit to those football mistakes? Absolutely not. This is the same guy who tried to gaslight us about decoy routes during the regular season. Like, come on, man. Like, I don't know if, like, that's my big concern with Deshaun. Like, is there football knowledge in there that could be helpful for Shador? Absolutely. But does Deshaun Watson, has he exhibited the attitude and the accountability from a quarterback that you want Shador to have? No, he has not. Which I understand why people are weary about Deshaun being connected there. Now, he can learn from the mistakes of Deshaun Watson if Deshaun Watson is willing to admit his mistakes, if we're talking about off the field things, but that's not been something that he's done publicly. And honestly, you can learn everything you need to about avoiding the mistakes of Deshaun Watson by just paying attention to the story of it. You don't really need Deshaun Watson actually there to learn from it, right? Like, yeah, I just think this is a PR move for Deshaun Watson, if I'm being honest with you. I don't think it's an actual thing that's actually happening. I don't think Deshaun is like truly trying to mentor Shador in the way that we think. I think it's just Deshaun's out there. He's giving a helping hand, and they understand it's important for him to get some good press. And this is a way for him to get some good press. You know what I mean? JJ says, as you stated before, there's a massive discrepancy. Oh, this is about the running back room. Between the Browns casual fans and how they view Jerome Ford and how NFL fans, particularly fantasy football people, view Jerome Ford. Casual fans will be mad about this, but I genuinely believe the Browns front office and coaching staff are somewhere in between those two extremes. I suspect they view Judkins as Kareem Hunt and Jerome Ford as Nick Chubb. Ooh, I don't know if they view Jerome Ford as Nick Chubb. The reason I would say that is Jerome Ford's carries went down significantly last year, right? I think in 2023, they thought Jerome Ford could be a Nick Chubb replacement. And they found out that you don't want to do that. He got 200 plus carries in 2023. 2024, he got significantly less carries, and then they drafted two players at his position. I don't think they view him like that. Do I think they have a higher opinion of him than Browns fans do? Yes. But I don't think it's that extreme. I think they view Judkins as the new bell cow. They view Dylan Sampson as the new change of pace guy. And they view Jerome Ford as like a slash gadget running back that you give 100 carries to. And I think in that role, Jerome Ford's pretty good. But I don't think that they view him as the next Nick Chubb. If they did, they wouldn't have dropped his carries last year. But that's it for the hot takes. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.